Okay, the next tutorial is going to be on compression. Basic compression for vocal. What we want to do is control the dynamics of a vocal. Well, it depends on what you're really looking for, but I'm going to give you some basics on how to do that. This is what you should have. Every version of Pro Tools comes with a compressor limiter. And so this is what it looks like, and we're applying this to the lead vocal. And what we're going to do is try to control this so as we explain what these knobs do. So first of all, we need to look over here. We have input, and so what that is how much volume is coming in, or how loud the volume is coming in. If we play, I get so. Okay, so we know that the volume is reaching almost to -3. And next thing we want to look at is the output. What is actually leaving the compressor? So what's coming into the compressor? What's leaving the compressor? And finally, GR is gain reduction, or how much the volume is being reduced from input to output. So if we play, I get so, I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. Okay, we see between -3 and -6 dB of gain reduction is taking place. So how do we control all of that? Well, quite simply, we use the ratio and the threshold and eventually gain. So the ratio is basically how much is coming in compared to how much is going out. It's a ratio, 3 to 1. To keep it simple, vocals you'll probably use between 2, which is not much compression at all, to 4. And so what that means is how much we're squashing this audio, or how much we're reducing the audio that's coming in and we're sending out. So the more you increase your ratio, the more you'll reduce your audio. For example, I get so, I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody else. Next. That's full ratio all the way up. We don't want to do that. But what also controls it and manipulates this compressor is the threshold. Okay, the threshold is the level of audio that your source audio has to reach, the level of volume that your source audio has to reach before it starts to be compressed. And so we have it at -17. We can back it up to make it for quieter sounds. Okay, the lower the the lower the number, -32 is lower than say 17. So the lower the volume you set on your threshold, the sooner the compressor will take hold of your audio. Or sorry, the lower the volume would have to be before the compressor starts to affect your audio. And you see it's really reduced here because it's a lot of reduction, because as the volume is coming up, the compressor is really taking over. And that's super squash. You don't want anything like that. We just want to control the audio. So let's drop or increase the threshold all the way. And what we're going to do now is to reduce the threshold until we get right to the point where it starts to reduce the volume. Let's listen. I get so, I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna work. Okay, so you see her louder dynamic lines are hitting right around here at 17 dB, and it's just reducing just a tad bit. Okay, so what we want to do is I want to take that back just a little bit more. I get to get a little bit more control over it. I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna
gonna worry about nobody else.
Okay. Next, we want to show you. I'll reduce that just a little bit more to have a little bit more control over it. And this is actually what's controlling it. I don't want to go up to 6. It's actually at 5. Is good. Now, so which is a little high for vocals. Next, let's look at the attack. Okay, the attack is how fast. This is what I was starting to go into before, but the attack is how fast the compressor will take hold of your audio. And so what we're doing here is that's all the way down. That means it's a quick attack, which we don't necessarily want to do here because sometimes you want the vocal to develop before it actually is compressed. So we want to give it some time, and this is
I get so
really too far compressed.
I'ma go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody else.
And you see, the more we increase the attack, the more the vocal was allowed to develop before it was reduced.
I get so I'ma go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody else.
You see that transition? So the longer the attack, the more time the vocal has to develop before it's compressed. Next, we look at release. I'm going to keep it controlled a little bit. Release is how long before the compressor lets go of the compressed audio and it returns back to its original state. So what we're going to do is we can use a quicker release because her vocal in this song is quite rhythmic. And so it's fine if the compressor releases quickly. If we had a ballad where someone was singing and holding notes for a long time, we would want a longer release so that the vocal can complete itself.
I get so I'ma go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody else.
It's very rhythmic and very percussive, so we can have a quick release. And I'm sure you couldn't tell too much of a difference there, but if there was areas where you were holding vocals, go ahead and try to increase your release a bit and listen to the result. Next, we might have a problem after we after we compress, that the volume might be too low.
I get so
And we see that she's now at about -10 dB over here. We might want her to be a little bit louder, especially if we have music instruments and background vocals and things. We want that vocal to shine. So we would take that compressed signal now and just boost it a few dB.
I get so
You hear the difference?
I'ma go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody else.
And you don't want to get too carried away with that. Because we're going to boost the overall volume at the end, and we don't necessarily want to, overmodulate this signal or make it too loud that it's just overbearing compared to the rest of the mix. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful. I don't know that I explain it the best, but use the notes that I sent you before on compression, and I think that those notes will help you out along with this little tutorial to help control the volume of your vocals, of everything that you use, all of the instrumentation, all of the background vocals. If the audio needs to be controlled, then, or if their high dynamic range is lower and you want to boost audio or you want to reduce it, a compressor is the perfect tool to use. Okay, I will show you now, finally, what to do to boost the overall volume at the end. After you have finished mixing and your sound is pretty low and you want it to be louder, your overall mix, you want to go to your dynamics and go down to a limiter. I think that Maxim comes with every version of Pro Tools, and we'll put this on a master fader. What we want to do is set the ceiling. I like to set the ceiling a little below 0. 0 is the loudest that you can go without overmodulating. I like to be a little bit under that to give myself a little bit more headroom. Though Pro Tools, I know, has plus 12 dB headroom now, and it's very hard for you to really go over and overmodulate with all the improvements in the latest versions of Pro Tools. But anywho, to make this as loud as possible without overmodulating, what we want to do now is set the ceiling and start to reduce the threshold until we get the level that we want without a distorted sound. Okay? Listen to what I mean.
I get so tired. I'ma go out and enjoy myself. I ain't gonna worry about nobody.
See how that audio boosted, the volume boosted by dropping the threshold? Now if I took the threshold all the way up,
I get so
you see we're maxing out at about -6 and some peaks at -3. But if we just dropped it just a little bit,
I get so I'ma go out and
you see we're peaking almost at 0. So that's a quick and easy way to boost your overall volume of your mix. I hope that this was helpful, and I will talk about reverb in the next tutorial.